Something is unraveling in Texas, and almost nobody realizes just how deep the cracks truly run. A state once considered unstoppable, a place where home prices seemed buoyed by endless migration, booming job growth, and an economy that looked indestructible, is now showing unmistakable signs of a market entering dangerous territory. What began as a gentle cooling in late 2023 has evolved into something far more structural, far more widespread, and far more ominous. Inventory isn't just rising, it's accelerating at a pace that mirrors the earliest warning signs of every major housing downturn in modern history. Insurance costs aren't just climbing, they're exploding in ways that make entire neighborhoods financially unlivable. Investor demand isn't cooling, it's collapsing, leaving thousands of properties without buyers in markets that once couldn't build fast enough. And in the shadows of master-planned suburbs, luxury high-rises, and rapidly expanding exurbs, Texas is quietly transitioning into a phase that experts warned might come someday. But not this fast. The warning signs are already here. Most people simply haven't connected the dots yet. For years, Texas felt invincible, a powerhouse state attracting millions fleeing high-cost coastal markets, a magnet for corporations, remote workers, retirees, and investors chasing opportunity in fast-growing metros. Austin became the new Silicon Valley. Dallas rose as a global logistics and tech hub. Houston expanded with energy, healthcare, aerospace, and manufacturing. San Antonio grew steadily off affordability and military infrastructure. The formula seemed unbreakable. Cheaper land, lower taxes, strong job growth, and endless development. But beneath that unstoppable momentum, pressure was quietly building. Pressure that is now revealing itself all at once. Migration, once the crown jewel of Texas's explosive growth, has begun to flatten in ways few analysts predicted. IRS relocation data from 2024 and 2025 shows a clear slowdown. The surge of Californians, New Yorkers, and remote workers that drove bidding wars has faded. Companies that once relocated entire teams have paused expansions. Many workers who moved during the pandemic have returned home or shifted to cheaper states like Tennessee, Alabama, and the Carolinas. The inflow that sustained the boom is no longer strong enough to absorb the massive supply Texas builders continue to deliver. As demand weakens, inventory has surged. In Austin, active listings are up more than 40% year over year. In Dallas-Fort Worth, up 27%. Houston and San Antonio show similar spikes. Builders who once sold homes before the drywall was installed are now offering incentives behind closed doors. $20,000 rate buydowns, free upgrades, closing cost credits, and in many cases, outright price cuts. Mortgage applications across Texas have fallen to multi-year lows, signaling a deep freeze in buyer interest. And just as demand softened, a new threat emerged, one that economists call the Texas affordability shock: insurance. In 2023, premiums began rising quietly. By 2024, the increases became severe. And by 2025, Texas officially entered an insurance crisis. The average homeowner policy has jumped 37% statewide in just 2 years. Some zip codes, especially in coastal regions, hail-prone corridors, and older neighborhoods, have seen increases of 50%, 60%, even 80%. Thousands of families discovered their insurance bill now costs more than their mortgage. Insurers strained by record storm damage and high reinsurance costs have pulled back coverage. Deductibles have doubled. Roof requirements have tightened. Many homeowners are being forced into the Texas Fair Plan, a state-backed safety net with the higher premiums and less coverage. The financial blow is devastating, because a home is not affordable if you cannot insure it. And in Texas, affordability is no longer about the price of a home. It's about the cost of keeping it protected. Nowhere is the shift more visible than Austin. Its fall wasn't just predictable, it was unavoidable. Home prices rose over 70% from 2019 to 2022. Investors bought entire subdivisions. Remote tech workers overbid sight unseen. Builders couldn't keep up, but when tech layoffs swept across Meta, Google, Apple, Tesla, and dozens of startups, Austin felt the impact instantly. Demand evaporated. Inventory exploded. Today, Austin leads the state in price declines, down 12–15% from peak levels, with luxury markets seeing even deeper cuts. Homes that once sold in 48 hours now sit for 60, 90, sometimes 120 days with multiple reductions. Airbnb revenue has fallen as much as 30% in central Austin, leaving investors desperate to exit. A city once seen as the crown jewel of Texas real estate is now a warning signal for the rest of the state. Dallas-Fort Worth, long considered Texas's most stable metro, is showing cracks of its own. Inventory is up 27% year over year. New subdivisions on the outskirts of Frisco, McKinney, Prosper, Mansfield, and Anna now show rows of for sale and price-reduced signs. Builders are sitting on unsold homes. Property taxes, already among the nation's highest, continue climbing, pushing many working families to the edge. The insurance crisis has hit DFW harder than expected. Many homeowners who paid $1,800 a year now face renewals of $3,500, $4,500, even $6,000 or more. Wind and hail claims, some of the highest in the United States, have made North Texas one of the costliest regions for insurers. Affordability has reached a breaking point. This is not a collapse, but it is a structural shift that cannot be ignored. Houston and San Antonio face a different crisis, one driven almost entirely by insurance. Coastal proximity, flooding risk, and intense storms have caused premiums to skyrocket. Some homeowners in Harris and Galveston County are now paying $7,000 to $10,000 a year just for insurance. Deductibles have ballooned. Many insurers have reduced their exposure or pulled out altogether, forcing families into high-cost state plans. These are not temporary issues. They are long-term structural problems that reshape homeownership costs for millions. Investors, once the backbone of Texas real estate, are retreating. Airbnb revenues in Austin and Houston have plunged 20–30% due to oversupply and new regulations. Flippers who once banked easy profits are now stuck holding properties for months, watching carrying costs devour margins. Large institutional investors who bought tens of thousands of Texas homes during the pandemic have slowed purchases dramatically. Some are quietly unloading properties, signaling a shift in strategy, survival over expansion. Behind every statistic is someone living the consequences. A family in Round Rock forced to sell after their insurance jumped from $2,400 to $5,800. A couple in Frisco now underwater on a home they bought at the peak. A San Antonio landlord hit with an 18% property tax increase, turning a once profitable rental into a liability. New construction neighborhoods in North Dallas appear full by day but empty by night, evidence of owners who've moved away, rented their homes, or left them vacant while trying to sell. Numbers reveal what emotions hide. Texas active listings have surged statewide. In some metros, up 25 and 40%. Price reductions are now normal. More than a third of all listings have been cut at least once. New home cancellations are climbing as buyers back out of homes they can no longer afford. Foreclosures have risen 22%. Mortgage delinquencies, near record lows in 2021, have quietly begun increasing for the first time in years. Migration is slowing. Rent growth has stalled. Investor yields are shrinking. And thousands of new homes scheduled for completion in 2025 will add even more pressure to an already oversupplied market. Texas does not collapse overnight. It shifts slowly, then suddenly. If inventory continues rising, downward price pressure will intensify. If insurance premiums continue climbing, entire zip codes may become financially unlivable. If migration continues slowing, demand will weaken further. If investor confidence remains low, supply will exceed absorption for years. The state is entering a phase it hasn't seen since the mid-2000s, a multi-year correction disguised as a slowdown. This isn't panic, this isn't hype. It's the natural unwinding of a market that grew too fast, too hot, and too confidently. A market that many believed was immune to correction. The next 24 months will determine whether Texas regains stability or slides into a deeper, more painful, downward cycle. Texas once felt invincible, but no market is immune to affordability crises, insurance failures, migration reversals, oversupply, and investor retreat. The signs are no longer subtle, they're clear, they're accelerating. And as Texas stands at the edge of its most uncertain housing chapter in decades, the question is no longer whether the shift has begun, but how far it will go and who will remain standing when it finally settles.